What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Lay the smack down, the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and the message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you know what you can do. You know what you can do. You can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and you can talk about whatever you want, y'all. Anything. Trump, Kamala, love, relationship, marriage. We can get into it. I'm here for it. We could talk about it. If for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV or go directly to the YouTube live chat, hit the super chat button there, and I'll read your question or comments live on air. That's always fun, right? So you do have that option as well. Amazing stuff. Oh, we getting into it. What is your little calling on your life? What is your little calling in life? I want to talk about it, but before we get into that, I got a little news I want to share with you guys. A little news. I thought it was kind of cute, kind of interesting, because I think it represents a little shift happening in the world. And I've been saying this for a minute, that there's going to be a time where truth will shine its light. And there'll be a time where it'll be trendy to be truthful. It'll be trendy to be of God and stuff like that, right? It'll be trendy, but in that trend will wake up a lot of people, right? Some people will actually hear the truth and see the truth, right? But the world is going to shift in the direction of the truth. I don't know, but I just believe that to be true. I can foresee it. And I think that we're in like the beginning stages of that, right? This little shift. And one of it, a big shift, a big part of that shift, I'll say, is happening in politics, right? Because not everybody in the world is involved in politics for the most part, right? Because politics is all over social media. We have all these these big moments of our culture that has happened, that has got people involved and turned their focus to politics, like big old Black Lives Matter thing, the January 6th thing, the attempted assassination thing. All these things are capturing the eyes of the people across the world, right? So now more people are paying attention more than ever. So I think widely that shift is happening first in politics for whatever reason. And one of that is, we've always known that these big corporations, these big companies, these major CEOs tend to lean more liberal, right? Lean more left with the Democrats and all that stuff. We always kind of known that. That's kind of been common knowledge, that for the most part, the outspoken ones, the very known ones, tend to be the ones leaning more towards the Democrats and liberals, right? But now we're seeing things happen left and right with these mainstream high-profile celebrities, right? We see Elon Musk. Elon Musk is out here, so a full-fledged endorsement for Trump, right? spoke at a few rallies, did a big interview. It got like millions and millions and millions of views. Crazy. Like full-fledged. He's jumping on the stage at Trump rallies, on stage jumping around. Full-fledged. And he's the richest man in the world, right? I think in the world, right? Or is it U.S.? It might be the richest in the world. Net worth-wise, right? So there's that. And then you have we covered on the Punchy TV, we covered what's the other guy that does Facebook? Meta? I forgot his name. Dang it. Somebody help me. Meta Facebook guy. Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, Derek. Mark Zuckerberg, he was like, he's not endorsing Trump. He's not saying he's endorsing Trump, but he was like, I respect that Trump, when he got shot, he did the fist. That was pretty bad. Bloop. Bad ASS, right? Sorry, kids. But he said that in an interview. He said that, I'm not saying I'm voting for Trump or whoever, but when he got shot and he stood up and did the fist, that was bad. Bleep. The respect was there. And then Mark came out with a letter apologizing to the public. I don't know about to the public, but he apologized, saying that before Facebook was involved in election in the election process, and we encourage people to vote and so on and so forth. And he apologized for that. He said, I don't want that to be the case with Facebook anymore. I'm not about that. I want there to be fair, a fair chance for both candidates, and I'm not endorsing either or, right? A shift. And he top 10 richest. And I got another one for you right here. Mr. Jeff Bezos, billionaire. I think he's number 2 in the richest. Owner of Amazon and all this other stuff. He goes on and says, and this is from crap. I can't say crap. This is from Reuters. I'm sorry, this is from The Blaze. Billionaire Jeff Bezos is reportedly pressuring the leaders at Washington Post, because he also owns Washington Post, to hire writers with different viewpoints for its radically liberal opinion section. That's a fact. So Bezos now is saying, I want to be a little bit more fair. It goes on to say, Mr. Bezos has told others involved with the Post that he is interested in expanding the Post's audience among conservatives. According to a person familiar with the matter, he has appointed Mr. Lewis blank, 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 a chief executive who previously worked at blank, 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 and has informed that Lewis wants more conservative writers. He informed Lewis, sorry, I'm black. He informed Mr. Lewis that he wants more conservative writers on the opinion section. Right? So Mr. Bezos, he's not saying he's conservative. He's not saying he's going to vote Trump, but he's saying, I want the Washington Post to be more fair. I want conservatives in there also, because it's leaning too left. So regardless if this is a stunt, because we never know what's really going behind the scenes, right? We don't know if this is a part of an agenda, larger agenda. You know what I mean? Who really knows? But I don't know. I do believe there's a shift that's happening that is bigger than these politicians, is bigger than conservatism, is bigger than Republicans and liberals, is bigger than that. It's just God doing a little thing. God cooking. So I just thought that was interesting. Because these mainstream people, these high up celebrities, these very wealthy people, they don't typically tell who they're endorsing, but they oftentimes lean left. And for them to come out and say this stuff, it just, I think people are just starting to see what's going on. So, shout out to the truth. Super chat. Give me a second. David Morgan says, you're number one. I appreciate that, David, for the support out the gate. Right on, David. I'm trying to read them right here, but my computer's being funny. David Morgan. Right on, David. I appreciate it. You the man. Oh, David the Morgan's the one I said that he has a country artist name, like he would be a country artist. You heard that new country song by David Morgan? Fire. Thank you, David. Terry Strange says, interesting. I know, right? Who knows who's next? Who knows who's next? But I think a lot more people have respect for Donald Trump than most will admit. And not because he's just this great politician, but because he's a real person. And people are starting to see that. Come on. This man resilient to the end. Anyway. Right on, Terry. I appreciate it. AG with a very generous donation says, blank blank should be banned from the chat. Hold on. What the heck? For the same reason society exiles PDFs and the mentally deranged. The kid is vile. Well, my mods will look into that, AG. Oh, I guess they don't know who I'm talking about because I said blank blank. But my mods are holding it down. So if anybody's acting up in chat, I know the dogs will get them. And if not, I will remod C-Sal, and C-Sal blocks people. Oh, she goes on blocking sprees. So if anybody's acting up, AG, and it's not getting handled by my mods already, I'll sick the pit bull on them. I appreciate the donation, AG. Right on, man. Nice. Okay. I'm gonna take a call on the subject at hand, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But I got some other stuff for you guys too. Lord, we got to get into it. Let me go to John out of Kentucky. John, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Yeah, man. What's going on?
What's going on, John?
Hey, man, I just called, ask you some questions just to see where your brain is and see how you think about the world.
Yes, sir.
And my first question is, do you think America is a white country?
I don't look at it in terms of that. I think it's a Christian country, and it's founded on Christian principles, and America has been anointed by God, and those who are born here are blessed to be born here. And there's a different energy about them because they're born here. But as far as it being white, I don't necessarily subscribe to that.
So you disagree with everybody that you work with up there, Bond, then?
Typically.
You're the only one I know who doesn't believe it's a white country.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily into that part of it. And yeah, they all know my views on that, but yeah, I don't look at it as far as the color. From my point of view, I just don't see it as a white thing.
All right, so my second question is, what does it mean to be white? Because, you have people with so-called white skin, even though it's not white, that can pass for white, and they're a different race. You know what I mean? So what does it mean to be white?
I don't think it means anything to be white or black or anything. I think it's about your character, the values that you bring. Now, from a realistic standpoint, there are a majority of specific races that right now tend to hold those values higher, which happens to be the whites. But there's also decency in all people. But as a group, as a whole, as a collective, the people with whiter skin tend to hold those values higher.
So when you say whites, like who are you referring to? Are you talking about the Irish?
Just white people. That's why I don't care. What I'm saying, like, but that's why I don't get into the color thing, John, because like to me, Irish, white skin can be a lot of things. French, Irish, Europe. There's so many different things that white can be. So I don't like to really get into, I mean, I don't mind talking about it, but like I'm not into the color thing that much because I don't identify with Christianity or character by color.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Would you agree that, quote unquote, white people created race to divide people and to put them above people of color? Because, you know, back in the day, people didn't call themselves black and white. They called themselves what they were.
And what is that? What do you mean by what they were?
So, like, black people came from different tribes on the continent of Africa. They didn't call themselves black. A white person, a quote-unquote white person, labeled them as black based on their skin, which is not black. And then white people didn't used to call themselves white. They used to call themselves Irish or Swedish.
So do you think that white people did that? White people created that?
Oh,
the name?
Most definitely.
Okay.
You can look that up. Yes, you can look that up.
And then, but you don't think that white people created the country?
So white people did organize the country through evil means, and they think God helped them with that. But what he did, he gave America to the wicked. Okay, that's why white people rule everything. That's my belief.
God gave America to the wicked.
Yes, he gave the earth into the hands of the wicked, which is white people. That's why they rule everything.
Why would God give something to the wicked?
To punish us. He put them over us to punish us. But that's over and done with, and that's why everything is so crazy for the whites. That's why they're spazzing out, and they just, Trump has to win. Trump has to win. Otherwise, you know, it won't ever be like the way their grandparents had it, and they'll have a different life ahead of them where they'll have to share now. You know, they have to share America now.
Well, let me go back to really quick before we go off too far, and then we could pick that back up if you want to get into it. But do you think that if you think that white people created the divide in color, like the naming of color, don't you think that's the same thing as you disagreeing with Jesse or the other host here on the network for them believing that whites founded the country? Don't you believe that that's the same thing?
That's a little bit different, man. I mean, you can obviously see the bias in some black folks, the ones we call, you know, coons and everything like that. You can obviously see that they kiss the white man's butt. It's obvious to see that.
But how do you know that a white person created black, white, Asian to divide people? How do you know that's true?
You have to look it up, man. If you never learned that, I can't tell you his name, but I can look it up and I can call you tomorrow. But it was a white man who came up with that class, that racial divide of calling people blacks and whites and whatever else. What they used to call us, you're mixed, right?
Yeah.
They would call you, so I can't remember the term for it, but they always put a label on somebody else instead of saying what they truly are.
So what was the
black people don't do that because black people hadn't been in charge. White people do that.
So what's your point? What was the original point that you were making about why you said that white people divided?
Just to show that white supremacy is real, and white people made it up. And it's not to say that they're better than us; it's to say that they think they're better than us. And when they established America, they made it to where it was supposed to be beneficial to whites, and everybody else is supposed to be under them to serve them. That's the way they established it.
But you don't know. But right now, what you're doing is you're making claims that may be true. But I'm not saying that it's false. But I'm not. What you're basically doing is that you're just the opposition of what you hear the other co-host here talk about in their shows about white America or whites and all this stuff. All you're doing is being the exact opposition of that and not necessarily proving anybody wrong. Now you're just saying, well, no, whites are evil when you hear them say whites are good. So you're not really saying anything much.
I'm showing the bias because there's no way.
But you have a bias, but that's the point, is that you have a bias too. Now all you're doing is saying your bias is towards the blacks, that whites stole it and whites are evil and all that stuff, but you're not coming from a fair-minded place.
That's not bias. That's truth. And y'all avoid the truth.
But what if we have the right,
literal truth.
But we have the right to believe that what we believe to be true, just like you have the right to believe. Why do I have to be biased, or why do whoever have to be biased? Why can't that just be what you believe?
If you're a truthful and open person, Joel, you can believe what you want to believe. But if information is handed to you and it's truth, and you just disregard it so you can stay in your same little lane, then something's wrong with you. But you can't look at the total.
But what if somebody
says that? I'm going to give you an example real quick.
But, okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So growing up, I thought all these people were considered American heroes. These presidents that owned slaves, Andrew Jackson, going through the Trail of Tears, killing all these Indians. We look at them as American heroes. I did when I was younger. I don't anymore. I look at him as a devil, because that's what he is.
Okay.
But white people, to white people, through their lens, oh, he's an American hero because he helped establish America. He has rich history in this country. But everybody shouldn't look at him like that. And people don't look at life the same, and I understand that. But I refuse to look at all those people that I learned was American heroes and hold them in high regard. I don't. They're the devil. They're evil.
Well, okay. Now, you're right. Now, I'm going to tell you where I agree and where I disagree. You're right that you shouldn't look at them, hold them in high regard, right, based off of some teaching. But where you're missing it is now you're just going to the other end of it and calling them evil, which is the same thing. Is that why just leave it open as a nothing and let it just be whatever it is? Because now, how do you know that the information, the book that somebody handed you that says, oh, all this is a lie, all this is fake, is correct, and the book that we got handed of whites found in this country or whatever the case is wrong? How do you know that? Why not just leave it open?
Okay, because, the books they have in school, that's one thing. That's what they want everybody to learn. So we'll hold America in high regard, like I was saying. But all those people from history, they kept journals. They wrote autobiographies. They wrote down their history, and they'll tell you some of the same stuff that I'm saying. But to white people, it's heroic. But to us, when we read it, it's like, I knew he was a devil. I knew he was a devil, because that's just the way they see us. Because Joel, do you believe that all men were created equal? Or do you think when he said that he was talking about only white people?
All men.
Oh, no, he did not. Because, when they wrote that, black people were still slaves. So there's no equality in master and slave. That's not equality.
Well,
he was talking about white people, white men. He was talking about white men.
Who was talking about white men?
Whoever wrote either the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, one of those, that all men were created equal. He wasn't talking about black people or Chinese people or African people.
I wouldn't just have my mind. I'm not saying that you're wrong on everything, right? Because there's things that you know about this stuff that I don't know about. So I'm not saying that you
to know.
No, it's not that I refuse to know. It's that I refuse to pick a side off of something that I'm not sure about. I don't know if that's true, and I don't know anything else, but I do know is that I don't look at the color thing, and nobody should look at the color thing. And what you're doing is just saying, what you're doing is just, you're saying that, it's bad that you guys look at the color thing because whites didn't find this, but you're just rebuking because it's white. But if it was black, you would probably say, I don't know what you would say, but it would probably be the other thing. So all you're doing is just picking another side instead of just deleting color in general.
If blacks had all the power for 400 years, you would change your tone.
Well,
but because white people had the power for 400 years, I mean, you're saying I don't see color and all this crap.
But what about today, John? What about today? You're free.
Today,
I'm free.
I know, but understand why white people are panicking. Do you understand why white people are panicking right now?
Why?
Because they're losing that stronghold that they've had for so many centuries. They're losing it.
That's the wrong approach. That's the wrong outlook, because a lot of these a lot of these white people who are being attacked aren't deserving of being attacked just by default because they're white. That's insane, John. They shouldn't be attacked because they're white. Not just because they're white,
but it's because of the values that they hold. Like I'm saying, like all them people that attacked the Capitol on January the 6th, these people feel like they're losing their country to gay people, people of color, and it's not going to be that strong, old white man way of living that they come from. So it is racial. It is black and white.
But those people,
Joel, it is.
But no, it's not racial though. It's moral.
Oh,
it's moral.
Is racial.
It's moral.
It should be moral. It should be, in a perfect world, it would be moral. But just listen to all the callers that call Jesse and Hank. Just listen. That's the real world. Those people, that's the real world. It ain't just something you can throw out and say it shouldn't be.
You're right about that.
You have to say what it is.
Well, you're right about that. There are people who call in and they're sticking up for whites and they're standing on the side of white and identifying with their color. But you're doing the same thing, John. Like you're criticizing them, but you're doing the same thing. You're just on the opposite end. You're standing for blacks and you're rebuking whites. It's the same thing.
Right.
So how is that solving anything?
Not going to be, because there's not going to be a kumbaya, man. That's not realistic. It's not going to be a kumbaya. I have to stand up for my people just like they stand up for their people. I'm not going to stand on their side. Why would I stand on their side?
Well, then the fight is never going to end because there's no sides. That's your brother.
Right.
That's your brother.
There are sides. Who's my brother? The white man?
No, the man that came from God, just like you did.
Yeah, we all come from God, but God has chosen people. You know that. So he created everything, but it doesn't mean that just because he created you that, you know, he loves your people. And we talked about that.
But your people doesn't exist. That's made up by you or the blacks or whatever. Yeah, your people is not. That does not. The only people that should stick together are the people who are of God. And everything else is just good versus evil. Everything else is just not of God. So it's not white, it ain't black, it ain't Asian, it's not my people, your people. Your people and my people are only people who are of God if you are of God. And that's it.
Well, we disagree about that. And
you're
the
not
Bible
a Christian.
will tell you I'm the original Christian. And you are too, you just don't know it. Your dad's black. Is your dad black or your dad white?
But it ain't, what kind of Christianity is talking about black and white?
Because, man, like, well, I don't want to get into the Israelite talk, but God has a chosen people. He has a chosen people. And that's the honest God truth. And if you read the Bible, you know how Jesse said, let it go through one ear and out the other?
Yeah.
If you just read the Bible like it's a textbook and study it and don't put color in it, you'll know that all those prophecies about who the Israelites are in the Bible, they don't apply to anybody else but the black American. Like we fit into those prophecies. Nobody else, especially those people over in Israel right now. None of those people have been in slavery. Yeah. None of them.
Well, you can have that, John. I don't disagree with you when it comes to a chosen people, but I disagree with you when it comes to those chosen people being black, because you can't prove that. Nobody can prove that, and even if you could prove it, even if it said it in the text that these are black, that doesn't mean that whites can't achieve that, or any other color of the skin can't achieve that same exact anointing of God. So it's all the same to
you
me.
haven't read your Bible.
But
I can tell you haven't read your Bible.
we'll have to let's pick up on this again. Maybe tomorrow or another time. I gotta move the calls, man.
If you're not afraid, I will. I'll come back. If you're not afraid.
No, you finally built up the courage to call me back.
Man, I just got the time. I got to leave right now. I'm just trying to close up with you.
Right on. Well, I appreciate it, John. Call me again, man.
All right.
All right. Man, because I have so much I want to. Lord, I just want to get to the message. I want to get to the message, but I got some people waiting on the lines. 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. We got JC out of Arkansas. JC, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hello, Joel.
How's it going, JC?
Couple of days. Oh my goodness, how are you?
I'm all is well. How are you?
All right. I've got two questions. Of course, well, I always tend to have more, but I wanted to hear what do you feel your calling is? But I hate to have to do this. I sort of want to give a response/question towards John. If that's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't like doing this because he and I are actually like black people that actually love our black skin. However, I do want to pose the question to him. Does he feel like he's a little racist? Like that, I would be hypocritical if I'm calling out your friends and stuff for their racist antics against black people and not calling him out for, being somewhat racist. And
I know, John. John, you racist or what?
Like, I have plenty of white friends, plenty of friends of all races that are Christians and everything. So I know that God is black, like Jesus is black. I do get that, but I'm not going to just say, "Oh, you're white. You're the white devil" and stuff to friends in 2024 and stuff.
Well,
that's not what progression is.
Well, what I want to say is that the racism thing, I don't subscribe to either. I do agree with JLP when he says that racism doesn't exist. It's all just hate. Because when you call somebody racist, you put them in a whole new category instead of realizing that they're just being hateful. Just like we all can be hateful at times if we go unconscious. There's times that maybe I would say certain things to somebody and it came off as judgment, and you say certain things as people that comes off as judgment, and that's just all from the same place, right? So we don't want to demonize people and put them in categories that we feel don't include us.
Yeah, but I subscribe to judging people. I don't mean to always judge people, but I'm a judger. Like I'm very judgmental.
That's not good though. You think that's good?
And I'm working on myself.
Fair enough.
I'm working on myself.
Fair enough.
Because only God is the ultimate judge. But I do have my opinions on certain things. But you say you don't subscribe to racism, but then you just agree with me asking John, like, is he a racist? I mean, you just heard that conversation about how he feels about white people and everything like that.
It's just hateful. It's just hateful. That's what it is. It's just, just judgment. He's just judging the whites or judging Bond or whatever, the message of Bond or whatever it is. He's just judging it.
See, there's a difference.
That's all it is. But his team is the blacks, and he's judging the white team, just like it. That's how people do. So I wouldn't call it racist.
I can understand him judging Bond over judging whites and stuff. Judging Bond, I'm very much. Everybody knows I'm one of the number one adversaries when it comes to the Bond team. I talk to you honestly now. I still want you to always know that.
No.
That's why I'm mad that you haven't read my super chat yet. But my next question was, what is your calling? Because that's the topic today, right? What do you feel your calling has been so far in life, and how have you achieved it so far?
That's a great question, JC. I will answer that when I get to that part of the topic, so I can really unfold it. So I will get to that.
Okay.
I will answer that as soon as I get to that. But I have a few other comments here I want to make about the topic at hand, and then I'll get to that. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I gotta keep. One more question, and then I gotta keep it moving.
No, I didn't know if you wanted to know my calling or anything, or like how I'm anything. If you had any questions for me.
Well, when I get to that topic, which I'm not sure if it's gonna be today, but call in tomorrow, and then we can get into that because I got.
Okay.
I want to open that up first.
And if John's calling in, I would like to actually speak to John for the first time, because for some reason we're both strong men, but me and him have never actually spoken, and we have some disagreements we need to work out.
We'll look into it. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Thank you, Joel, for your time.
All right. Thank you, JC. Appreciate it. I'm feeling weak. I'm getting beta. I'm trying to get to the message, but I got callers here, and then I'm getting beta, and I'm going with the callers. I'm getting beta. I want to say one person on my shoulder is like, get to the message, get to the message. That's the meat of the show. Get to the message. And then the other person on the shoulder is like, no, get to those calls. You got to get to those calls. They're calling in. And I don't know who's God and who the devil. So I'm going with the calls. Shane, a first-time caller out of New York. Shane, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Joel, what's up, brother? How are you?
How's it going, Shane? All is well.
Good. I just hear people like John speak, and the hypocrisy is just like oozing out of that spirit. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't speak for white people. We don't think like that. It's not most people. You know what I mean? And I feel for him. You know, like, that's not how it is. I think that's just a lot of internalized anger and racism. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't get it. I feel for a person like that.
Finish your point. Finish your point. Go ahead.
Yeah, he just, that's not how we see that culture at all. There's a lot of liberalism in that culture, I suppose, but
in what culture?
I think in the black culture, there's a lot of liberalism and, and just like that self-hating. I think they think that like white people are like superior, or they think that we think like that. It's not the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know where that even comes from. It's like 400 years and all this 400 year stuff. Like no white person walks through life thinking like we see. You know what I mean? I think it's just like a cloak that they have, or not all of them, but like what your last caller, like what a great person he is. He doesn't see that. He sees the world through a different lens.
Yeah, brainwashing,
you know what I'm saying?
brainwashing, and judgment, and hate, and propaganda, and all this stuff that's just in the mind. It's really just listening to the thoughts. But I want to ask you really quick so we can really make sense of it. When you say we don't think like that, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'll speak for myself, but like as soon as you tell, like I see people in the chat, like. The haters or trolls or whatever, and if you say you have like white friends, black friends or whatever, they're just like, or if you tell a black person that you have black friends just to justify it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they get angry about that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're so like sensitive about everything. It's just like the sensitivity is just tuned up to a different level.
That's for sure.
I mean? So it's like,
that's for sure.
So like their mind is like just closed off between that. And I got to be honest, like there's very many black cultures and, people that, old school people, like they just don't like white people because of history. You know what I mean? And like he was speaking about, the founding fathers or whatever. Like they were just a product of the times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do. Like they might not. They have nothing. Yeah, I mean, slavery was what it was, but, do people know that there was like 6 million, white slaves in Europe, like in the 14 and 1500s? Like 6 million. Yeah. Nobody talks about any of that.
No,
you know what I mean?
You're right. And there's a lot of information that doesn't
there was
serve
more. There's been more white slaves in history than there has been black slaves in history, and that is factual. I don't care if Joe is going to call in or whatever, but it is completely factual.
Well, I'm not sure about that. But I mean,
you can look it up.
Maybe so. You may be right about that. I'm just saying I'm not sure, but for the but I will say is that stuff doesn't serve somebody's anger, right? So if a
100%.
person is black and they hear that, it doesn't serve their anger, so of course they're going to reject that. But I do want to say also that the white culture, which whites do have a culture as well, is they also are not innocent. They're not perfect. They do have there is a sense of anger and hate that is passed down as well, as far as like examples that they see to where they look down and judge people who don't look like them as well. So all these claims about white people being racist and not just totally made up, it's a stretch, it's extreme, but that is very possible. And I've seen it before too, is where there's white people who are angry or judgmental and they look down upon you and they don't know nothing about you. And that's not good either.
Yeah.
But it's not racism, you know what I mean? And that's where blacks totally get it wrong, is that it ain't racism. It's just hating people's hearts. And blacks seem to have drank that Kool-Aid heavily.
Yeah.
The hate and the anger and that. But whites have it too in their own way. And that's why I say we don't need to identify as a we, as us. It should just be good versus evil and not culture.
Of course. Yeah, I know plenty of, people that are racist on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember, like, through history, like Scottish people and British people hated each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and they're both white, right? They both have the same skin color, but they hated each other because of, different, ethnicities and originations. Like, like, I don't know why black people take things such to heart. Like, it's just really, it's just nationalism in some ways, and you're from here and I'm from there, so we have differences. You know what I mean? Like, it's really just differences in culture and opinions, and you know what I mean? But like, I mean, and then like to push that 400 years of slavery is kind of like a cop out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really is.
You know what I'm saying? Like it
really is.
And it's like, but I love to see people like your last caller, you know what I mean? Like, because I mean, there's great black people, you know what I mean? There really are. I mean, like I just, I'm conservative, so I'm going to gravitate towards people like Ben Carson, great human beings. And, I mean, the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, like, what an amazing human being he is. Just stepping up, and he doesn't care, and he just says whatever he wants to say, and I don't know. Like, I find like real power in that, people that can step up and just defy lies and, cultural like oppressions,
No, I agree. And I think, it's a people thing. It's an individual thing. And I think that we really need to, it's obvious in all reality, when we look around, we see that culture plays a big part. We see that people identify with color, and we see certain groups like blacks or whites who do certain things that represent the culture as a whole, right? But I just always think about how we should not identify with any of that as this is our culture or anything. We should just focus on being an individual, because you're gonna find bad apples in all cultures, and you're gonna find good people in all cultures. And when we identify what that stuff is, where we start dividing amongst ourselves. So,
well, like somebody like John, who's gonna say that he thinks that white people think they're superior to black people, but literally be a black Hebrew Israelite. I mean, the hypocrisy is like on another level.
Right.
You know?
100%.
Come on, give me a break.
100%. Shane, I gotta go though.
All right, you got calls. All right, peace, brother.
I appreciate it, Shane. Call me again. Thanks for calling.
Yep.
All right. I never been big on the color thing. I'm sorry. I never been that way, and I thank my my mother, because she always raised me around a mix of different people. And the reason I thank her is because when I was around the blacks, it was problems, right? And then I went to a white high school, and that was problems too. It's problems. Now, we live in times where it's more pronounced amongst the blacks. That's just reality, and it has nothing to do with race. It's just the mindset of black people. They don't think individually for the most part. They think as a group, so they behave as a group culturally. So that's true, and no one's denying that. But like, because I grew up around a bunch of different people, I never looked at myself as being the black kid. I never looked at my white friends or my Mexican friends as being the white or Mexican kids. They were just my friends. And I would watch movies, and the movies I would watch, they had the actors, James Bond and freaking Superman and Batman, and they were white guys, but I was like, man, Batman's cool. I didn't think it was like the white Batman is cool. We need a black Batman. I never thought that. I never thought that characters need to be more represented in the black community. I never thought that, because it doesn't, like, you just gravitate to what you like, your interest, regardless of the color, especially if you grow up around a mix of different people. So I would appreciate that. That's how I was raised, because it taught me to not care about color. You know what I mean? So I just don't subscribe to the color thing. I just don't. I'm black, but my mom is mixed with a lot of white too. But it's Creole, so it's all kinds of mess in there. But what is black? What is white? What the? Because it's just a mess. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. I always wanted to see a Mexican Catwoman with some black, thick eyebrows and thick lips. But I wonder where that comes from, though. Who says, like, I want to see, like, someone who looks like me? And I'm not saying that you're wrong for if you feel this way, but I've never thought at one point that I wish James Bond looked like me. I never wished that. I don't know. That was just never a thing of mine to wish. I wish James Bond looked like me. I just never thought that. You know what I mean? And white people have great features. They have great, they're like proportioned well. You ever see James Hake? Like, he got posture. You know what I mean? He got posture. He barely have to do his hair. You know what I mean? Like, he just wake up and go, throw on a t-shirt. You know what I mean? He speaks well. Like, they just got that going. And ain't no reason to be jealous of it. I ain't jealous of it. I got my little stuff too. Come on. Let me get to the super chats, because I'm about to get carried away. Let me go to Lori. I don't know why I'm saying it like it's a call. What's today? JC first says, I enjoy you, Joel, but you never check in with us on Facebook and you didn't let somebody talk with Maze or Tony last week. Can you dress up on Thursday in a costume? That's a good question. I don't think I have a costume. Matter of fact, I don't even know the last time I even dressed up for Halloween. I don't think I even own any costumes. Still Lions Den check in, but I'm okay being more absent. Stop being so misogynistic. You have the ability to be better, so take the opportunity. I'll take the opportunity, JC. I'll be better. I appreciate JC for the donut. Right on. I don't have a costume for you either. Lori Bain says, thanks, Joel. Thank you, Lori, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Lori, a different Lori, says, hey, Joel, every human is a slave to the devil. Fact. The devil doesn't have blue eyes. Fact. Maybe, I don't know. He's a spirit. Racism is fake and slavery is real. Lori coming with it. Who's Lori? Hold up. But it's spiritual. Slavery is being controlled. We are slaves of evil or slaves to God. That's how I see it. Pick your slave. What slave you want to be? She's right, though. All jokes aside, she's right, though. There's either controlled by God or controlled by Satan. Right? That's just it. That's just the reality. And it's all in the mind. That's what I'm saying. Like, meaning like you thinking that it's white, thinking that it's black, thinking that it's Asian, thinking that racism, thinking that, hey, it's all just coming in the mind. It's a lie. Lie. Joel gonna be employed for Halloween. It's just a mess. So you're right, Lori. It's either good or evil. That's it. Good or evil. Either good or evil. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. Let me make sure we're good here. Dang. So I was going to get into what is your calling in life. And I was going to show you guys some clips. And it's some interesting stuff, Lord. Because I saw these clips and it just made me reflect. And I'll probably play that tomorrow. We'll get into that tomorrow. That way it's fresh. And if the callers call in, I might get weak and go to them again, but we'll try to get to this. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we'll try to do. Dress up as a donut. That's a good one. Dress up as a donut. I might have to do that. That's hilarious. Last couple comments here, and then I got to end. Riley says, Joel decided not to wear a shirt. Riley, that's not true. I ain't that black. Okay? Come on. This is like a maple. I'm like a maple type of vibe. It ain't black. Okay? I'm considered light-skinned in most circles. Most black circles, I'm a light skin. Okay? And I identify as a light skin. Okay? So, watch your mouth. Joel, dress up like Hake for Halloween. That's hard. Cause I can't just roll out of bed and walk to work. I can't do that. I gotta put a little oil in my hair. I don't even think white people have to brush their teeth, do they? I don't know if white people even shower. I don't even think white people even have to shower. Do they even have stinky armpits? I don't think so. They get everything. I got to buy deodorant and stuff. Brush my teeth. I don't think white people do that. I think they just have straight, nice teeth and good breath. So it'll be hard to dress up as, hey, I was Joe Dirt one year with the hair and everything. I'll dress up on Thursday. I'll wear my skates, but you ain't gonna know. I pick my hair out and I'll wear disco clothes in my skates. And we'll do that. That's what we'll do for Halloween. Sounds good. Let me see. Anyways, I gotta end, y'all. Good stuff. Shout out IG, YouTube, Facebook, Punchy.tv, blah, 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 blah. Shout out to you guys for tuning in and watching. I appreciate it. Always good. Thank you for the super chats. And the calls and all that good stuff. American Anchor Baby is coming in today at 4 p.m. Make sure you guys check out his show. You don't want to miss it. Check out American Anchor Baby. And I'll be back here tomorrow for another episode. Who knows where life goes? Who knows where life take you? We'll see what happens. Joel Friday TV across the board. Like, subscribe, share, tell your peoples, and all that good stuff. Until next time, y'all. It's been fun. It's been real. I'll see you on the flip. Bye.